5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello, wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. Welcome along to LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. It's Thursday night, it's 7 o'clock, that can only mean one thing, and that it is the prediction show. But please do me a favour, if you haven't checked it out yet, I did a show last night, I hadn't done one for a while, our Talking Balls. Basically, live from the Cherry Fox pub here in sunny Dorset. It was myself and, of course, my co-host on that, Craig. Now, it goes out on my channel and it goes out on his. But because it's a shared show, one of us has to set it up. And he generally sets it up because he's got the lappy that we can go to the pub with. We have a bit of a laugh and a joke, and certain celebrities get mentioned. And I'm going to have to be careful what I say here. But in the past, we've mentioned the likes of Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and more recently, we've mentioned the likes of Jimmy Savile and Gary Glitter. And the funny thing is that when it goes live, that YouTube actually put it down as limited advertising suitability, which I'm probably not surprised at, but because we kept mentioning the names during the show on his channel and probably on mine now tonight, those all came up. You know, if you ever gone onto a YouTube channel and go onto the See More, it usually has pictures of all those people he's mentioned. So underneath his was all the picture of all these sort of dictators and paedophiles. It was not a happy man earlier, but we did have a laugh about it. But it is the prediction show. I have to say, and God, this has hurt. Congratulations to Leeds. Leeds United coming up. I mean, you know, we've been waiting for them for a year, but they're finally here, waving at us as we go back down again. It's taken me a while to be able to get out to say that, but in celebration of Leeds getting promoted, we have got a Leeds fan with us tonight. And I thought, I thought I'd do him a favour because he's got to get used to these teams next season and the prediction. So we thought we'd get him in. It is the prediction show. Welcome along. I'm going to get my co-host in. He's waving at me and shaking his head. And I think he's probably sticking two fingers up at me as well that I can't see. But here we go. Here's the prediction show. Good evening, one and all. First of all, Wayne, welcome back, sir. Are you a big fan of Adolf Hitler?
Not particularly, no.
I always thought he got a bit of a bad press myself. There we go. And talking of bad press, somebody who's obviously his team is being run by a German at the moment, Carl, Leeds United fan, congratulations, sir.
Thank you. About time. After a year later, we had to put through the rubbish after you guys mocking us singing Leeds falling apart again. The joke's on you. We were singing it the last few games, and actually, we kind of like it actually now. So, yeah, the joke's on you guys.
Well, we're still there at the moment. The joke's not just quite yet, but...
You say that. You say that, so...
Well, I mean, when we got promoted, yes, Enzo walked out on us, didn't he, Wayne? I don't remember coming out and saying that we were going to sack him before we'd even got the season had finished.
No, that's a fair point, but if you guys loved him so much, he would have stayed. But you didn't love him, so you paid the price for that.
Well, when you're a big club, obviously like Red Bull Leeds are, then,
I wouldn't listen. It would never be called Red Bull Leeds. I know a lot of fans like to say that, but if they change that name, there'll be huge chaos in the center of Leeds and the rest of the world.
You've not got that many fans, don't let's not build your part up at all here.
Also, Chris, I think Maresca looked at the quality of our squad in the Premiership, and then the quality of the Chelsea squad, and it took him about half a second to decide, didn't it?
Probably, in fairness, but at least Leeds, didn't have to sort of go into the playoffs again because they've got such a great record in the playoffs, haven't they, Carl?
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, it wasn't easy playing against the Southampton side when we had chances. I know, and that's what I'm sarcastic to say. Yeah, we have a good playoff. Yeah, we don't. Well, how many games we won? None in the final. So
But look, I wind you up. Congratulations. It's taken you a while. You took the scenic route, but at least you got here. And it would be nice for us to go down. I mean, Wayne, we've won it one more time than Manchester City, the second tier. This will take us two clear just in case Manchester City ever get relegated and go back up again.
It will, and it'd be interesting to ask Carl whether, because we nearly blew it last season as well. And it's that thing of, do you want to get straight back up into the Premier League, or does another league in the Championship actually do you better?
It's a hard one to say. I think as a resources, we are more of a Premier League club. I think deep down, after the last situation with the last ownership, because I heard that Ranizzani's now screwed up Sampdoria, now they've been relegated to Serie C. So if we had Ranizzani, I think the club would not progress further. And I think what happened with last season, we just because we didn't know who we were going to be there last season and vice versa. But I think that international break killed us last season, the last one, and I think it just screwed up. This time, we thought this was going to happen again, but I felt like I think Ethan and Pamadou had to tell the team no, we've got this, boys. Don't worry about this. It's still in our hands. So there's a difference that leadership is, the leadership groups change and more involved to be, with Ampadu, Gruev, some of the other players. They've ring around and said, look, there's no messing about. And I think we've done well this time to get that get across the line. And sorry, Dan, I know we really get you guys a few seasons ago when Leeds and Burnley were fighting the last day of the season. So we picked you to the title yet again. So.
Indeed. Well, you're back. And so you should be, because let's say last season you were, according to your players, you were the best team in the Championship.
Yeah, last season we were the best team, but I think the season before it was more individual. This time there was more of a team. This time collectively rather than individually, which has been better for us. So, I'm
just remembering what your players were saying after you went above us by one goal difference. They said it's amazing to be at the best team in the Championship, and you failed. Look, I'm winding you up.
I know you are. we failed, but we succeeded this time properly in our usual fashion.
You have the last laugh. You are there, and we are not. So what did the Leafs do last night? I presume they lost, according to what Tom's saying. Ice hockey team.
Oh no, that's a niche sport. I don't get involved with. So
no. Tom was very much into it, but I'm getting from last night, from what he was just saying, then that the Leafs maybe lost. But well, look, I mean, why is he surprised? He should be used to it after Leicester, shouldn't he? Right, last week's predictions, guys. Carl, obviously, you weren't on the show, so we don't have yours, but I think I've actually thrown them away because when they were that awful.
They were. There were so many close. There's so many surprising results, isn't it? Like Everton and Fulham, Southampton, Man City.
Yeah.
And with the dynamics of titles sewn up, the relegated teams are relegated. It's just the European places now, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of games, there's nothing really to play for. Not unlike the prediction league. I'm just seeing if I've actually still. I'm just checking my filing system, everybody. I have it here. I do have it here.
You've thrown it away.
No.
Well, I know because Wayne, you got out the possible. What was it? 30 points. You got 2. Brad got 2. I'm not sure what you got, Cole, but out of the 3 of us that were on the show last week, no, I don't want to brag. It's not like me to brag. Anybody who watches this show regularly knows I never like to brag when I've done well, but look, I got 4. That's double, Wayne.
Well, for me, I kind of got, I'm counting this carefully, probably 3 or at least 3.
3. Well,
Actually, no, count again. 1.
And this is why anybody that's watching, I'm up here and those 2 are below.
I got 4 right. Not the correct score lines, but the team that won. Yeah.
I think you got 3 and you're just adding that one extra one on to please.
Whatever, yeah. No, I counted it properly. You know what my maths is like.
Right.
You can't be marking your own homework, can you, Chris?
No, it's very, when you mark your own homework, it's amazing how often you win. You know what I mean? But let's get into let's look at the table. It's a bit more, it's a lot more exciting than the Premier League table is because it isn't all over yet. So if we have a look, here it is. Nate, 2 games to go, can be caught, but I've got to say, Nate is the Liverpool of the prediction league. He's been top literally since about week 4, I think, and he's stayed there. Now, he is in America, so whether he can know the results sort of before we do, and that's why he does so well, I don't know. Wayne, look, Paddy, he's not going to do it next year. I'm going to say when we do it next year, it's going to be a little bit different. But anybody who dropped out during the season, so Paddy did, Anthony did, we're not going to have them back in because it's a bit silly. If they're not going to stick with it till the end, we don't particularly want them in. So, Wayne, you should, although having a look at your results from the last 2 weeks, I'm not sure, but you should be able to catch Paddy up. Jeff, who did miss a few weeks, 188. I tell you where, Wayne, it is very exciting. If you look at 8th, 9th and 10th, I mean, all of us on 207 points. Shane has got 33 correct results. I've got 26. Carl, you've got 24, which is the equivalent of our goal difference.
Yeah.
But that is very tight in the middle there.
Yeah, very tight indeed. I did not expect into the last 2 games that between 8th and 10th is going to be quite interesting. I think Brad is too far out. He's not going to catch us. So I think everything we've got at the moment.
Not when he gets 2 points in a week as well.
Yeah, point, yeah. But it's going to be interesting who finished between the top.
Go on, Cole. Catch him up, Cole. Go on, Cole.
I'm doing the best as I can, right? Because I got mocked early in the season when I was in the relegation battle, but I kind of done a bit better consistently. So,
well,
yeah.
You and me, because we were both down there at the start. I mean, Brad was way above us at the start, but he got drawn back into it. And the funny thing was, I think after the games last week, I think after the Saturday night games, when they'd all been finished, I got a text off Brad. He just said, I hate fucking football. That kind of sums up how we all felt. Trashan says, congratulations, Carl. Good luck next season. I think you are likely to finish above Spurs and United.
Probably at this moment, yeah. So
yeah. And Tom said, we didn't even turn up, mate. It's worse than Leicester. Surely nothing's worse than Leicester. Come on. Right. Okay. So let us have a look, and we will go and have a look at what is happening this week. Now, before we actually get into the games, there's no games on Saturday, guys. I'll come to you first, Wayne. Obviously, there's no games on Saturday because of the FA Cup final. Shouldn't the FA Cup final be the showpiece of the English season, whatever league or division you are in? That should be the way that it's rounded off, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's funny, the scheduling and the way they work the calendars between the TV companies and the deals. It's like the semi-finals being played at Wembley. There's a few things. There's a new task force or structural thing, isn't the guy is trying to get the Football League and the Premier all in unison, in sync. It's going to be interesting to see. It's been appointed, I think, and they've got a task force and they've put a protocol together. But it's going to be interesting because that will be a big shake-up and see whether, because he wants to help the smaller clubs basically. And he says a lot of the money should be shared down the pyramid, and the way the TV, I think he's been good on negotiating TV contracts and increasing revenue, but it's like politicians, whether it's all bollocks and it's just then favours the big clubs, who knows. But yeah, it's a funny, some of the scheduling with TV and that is really quite weird this season.
The FA have come out and said that there was supposed to be no games on the Friday night, but it's because of Europe and Club World Cups and all that. So there should have only been games on the Sunday. But Carl, to me, this again just devalues the FA Cup. Because I don't think the FA Cup is what it was. We've got this stupid FIFA World Club Cup with the spinning trophy that they've got coming up. And the FA Cup is just being sold down the river.
It very much is, yeah. It's what the dreams when you're a child, you want to see FA Cup, seeing big teams go against certain non-league clubs, and that it has devalued the FA Cup completely because of everything with the TV rights and so forth. And now because TNT have now got the rights for next season along with BBC, it's just now things are changing because they're not going to be playing the kickoffs around the 3 o'clock blackout on Saturday games, and it just feels like, because of the way now things have changed, because now the FA Cup used to be at the end of the after the end of the regular season, and then because I grew up with the FA Cup playing before the end of the season, so the final playing before the end of the season. So it's got to be the right balance, but because of the Club World Cup, it's devalued the FA Cup so hugely. It's like it's lost a lot of love completely. What we've fallen in love with.
Yeah, just totally. I just and we've won it recently, but to me, it's no better than the Carabao Cup, to be honest with you. And when you come to think that they're allowing the Carabao Cup to have two-legged semi-finals, but they're still not allowing replays in the FA Cup, I just think football in this country has just gone to the dogs. But let's have a look at this week's matches anyway. So coming up there on Friday night, we've got the two games. 7:30, we've got Villa against Spurs. And Friday, we've got Chelsea against Man United. The two teams, away teams there that are in the Europa League final. And I think it's, again, stupid that they have, they don't move the game to the UK when you've got two UK games in, or to Germany if they had two German teams in. Absolutely, totally stupid. But again, what's it matter about the poor fans? UEFA, FIFA, the FA, nobody gives a shit about the fans. Sunday, dare say no games on Saturday. Sunday, we've got the 5 games. We've got Everton against Southampton, West Ham Forest, Brentford Fulham, Leicester Ipswich, which if we hadn't both been relegated would have been a bit of a juicy encounter. Arsenal Newcastle, Arsenal again, who once again have failed to win anything. Well done, Mikel Arteta. And Monday night we've got Brighton Liverpool. Tuesday we have got Crystal Palace Wolves. Also obviously Man City Bournemouth, because Palace and Man City are both in the FA Cup, and good luck to both of them. I'm going to say a bit more luck to Crystal Palace, because it'd be nice to see somebody other than Man City win a fucking trophy. Right, let's get into this. A little bit different this week, that we're not going to be looking at one doing one and one home and one doing away, because it's just easier to do it this way with Brad dropping out. As you can see there, what we're going to show you there each for each game is the last 6 games, where they are in the league, the last time they played, and on the right, you're going to have the home teams' games this season's average. So how many goals they scored on average in their home games. And then for the away team, exactly the same for the away team. So you can look at that and see, for example, 2-2, they both got the same goals average home and away. But just a little bit interesting, a little bit different there to put up, for things to see. But let's start with Wayne. Aston Villa hosting Tottenham Hotspur. How do you see this one going? Spurs in 6. Sorry, Spurs in 6. They wish. Spurs in 17th. Aston Villa, again, looking like good for Europe in 6th.
Yeah, I bet Cole's thinking, please let our first fixture be Spurs at home next season. Because we love playing Spurs. They give us points, don't they, Chris?
They do. This season they did, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, but they're playing in the Europa League final against Man United, so they've got to go for that. Villa, Watkins have got 16 goals. They beat Brighton, Forest, Newcastle, Fulham and Bournemouth. And they lost against PSG and Palace in the FA Cup semi-final. So Villa are bang on form, really like Emre, Martinez, brilliant goalkeeper. And I think because they could catch Arsenal, same as a few other teams can catch Arsenal. So I think they're going to go for it. They've got Rodgers in midfield, who's virtually started every match for them. And I'm going to say Villa 4, Spurs 1.
4-1, wow. You've gone big. Go big or go home, Wayne. Carl, I mean, Tottenham's minds are going to be elsewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. Especially, Ange always said that he always wins trophies in his second season. That's going to be huge if he wins it. Will he be at the job by the end of the season? I don't think so. I don't think he will. I think with Spurs not having Kulievski, he's now out for the season. That's a huge blow, and they're going to have to try to wrap their players around before the final next Wednesday in Bilbao. It's a huge game. It's a huge game for Spurs, but their minds, they know because they're not going to finish anywhere above Man United now in the league. I just don't see. I just think Villa will be up for it. Especially Villa are really going for that final spot, and I think they're the most informed team at this particular moment who are battling for the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah. So your prediction?
My prediction is I'm going with Aston Villa to win 2-0 tomorrow against Spurs.
2-0. Brad has gone 2-1 to Aston Villa. The interesting thing is, look, I particularly want Man United to win next week when they play Spurs. And it's purely a family thing because I've said all my brother-in-law and his two children, 2 male children, 2 sons, that's the word I was looking for, are all Man United fans. So keep it in the family, as I say. it would just be funny to see Tottenham win nothing. I mean, it's a case of who's had the worst season. Now, I would say for Amorim, and obviously we'll come on to Man United next, that he inherited what he got. What Postecoglou's got is of his own making, because he was there last year. So the shit that he's in is because of him. And I've seen Spurs fans coming out saying they hope they lose to Manchester United so that he does lose his job. And they don't think that, but even if he does win, they don't think he'll keep it anyway. I mean, to have two teams like Manchester United, 16th and 17th in the league, it is embarrassing. And I would probably say that Spurs and Manchester United seasons are actually worse than Leicester's, because we weren't expected to do well. They would have been. I'm going to go 3-0 to Aston Villa. I can't see Tottenham getting anything whatsoever in this game. Now, Craig has gone 2-0 to Villa. Tom has gone, he's agreed with me. His balls may be frozen, but he's agreed with me. He's gone 3-0. And Prashant has gone 5-0. So he has really, really pushed the boat out on that one. I mean, it's a shame that really Tottenham and Manchester United, there was three shitter teams in this division than them. Yeah. We're one of them. Otherwise, they could have been in a relegation battle. But talking about the other team in that final, Manchester United, look, we're in Manchester United in 16th with 39 points. Chelsea are also chasing down Arsenal with 63 in 5th, and there's not many points between them. I mean, Aston Villa could still catch Arsenal. They're 5 points behind with 2 games left. Chelsea, exactly the same. It looks like Champions League is going to go down to 5th. Chelsea hold that spot at the moment. Man United, I mean, it's just funny, isn't it? I mean, you look at a team like Liverpool, and they had all the success that they had 70s and 80s, and then it took them 20, 30 odd years to win the Premier League again. As soon as Man United stopped winning, they seemed to think they were going to get it back straight away, which of course they haven't. Chelsea, though, they've had a bit of a funny season, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. But I mean, apart from losing against Newcastle, which I do think most teams, when Newcastle are on it, they will beat most teams, even probably Arsenal, and they give Liverpool a good game. But as you said, Chris, Man United, I mean, they've not won a game in 6 games. They are woeful. If it hadn't been for the 3 promoted sides being so rubbish and relegated, with 4 or 5 games to go in the season, definitely Man United and Tottenham would have been in a relegation scrap. They are that poor. And yeah, Chelsea, but they could win a cup. Man United could win a cup. But Amorim, like as you said about Man United, they are a mess. And no matter what manager has come in over the last how many years since Ferguson, as you said, they just can't seem to solve the puzzle that is Man United. And whether there's too many chiefs there in the board, in the backroom coaching staff, or ex-players, you don't know. But Chelsea, I think we all wanted Maresca to do rubbish, but he's done really well, actually. And they are quite difficult to beat, Chelsea. Like the guy that you had on who did the Chelsea stream, he said Chelsea play really well, but we will never, ever get to 2 or 3 goals ahead. We'll always only be 1 goal in it, and we will let other teams come back in. And really, that has some of Chelsea's season. His goals have completely dried up. I mean, if he doesn't score again till the end of the season, that would be crazy. But I do have Chelsea with Man U in the final. I think Chelsea will beat them 3-1.
3-1. Okay. Carl, can you see Man United getting anything out of this?
Well, it's going to be interesting because Chelsea are also involved in their own Europa League final against the Conference League final against Real Betis.
Yeah.
I can't see them putting out a strong team. Yes, they want to get 5th place, but it's just at this moment, we talk about Cole Palmer, as you said, Wade. I think teams are sussed out when the teams were trying to find out the first season Cole Palmer went to Chelsea. They were chaotic of trying to, Chelsea were chaotic when they had their chances with Cole Palmer, because I think Chelsea now steady the tactics, very stabilized now.
Yeah.
That's why Cole Palmer's be struggling at the moment. Why he can't score, he can't get the goals at the moment, because of the defense position or from the opposition. I've now sussed it out quite well, but I think with what's going on at Man United, like what you said, Ray, the problem is, when you announce it like, oh, we're not going to have a parade if we win the Europa League final, it's just going to be a barbecue, but there's no tickets given out. And Ruben Amorim had to come out and say, look, I will pay for your family's tickets, friends' tickets. It just shows you the clubs is in a free fall at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think, with Chelsea, what identity Chelsea wants, because there's been rumbling rumors that Enzo Maresca, his future might be on the dependent on the Champions League, of them getting the Champions League, like final Champions League spot. So this is quite huge for both these teams. But like I said, I think for Man United particularly, if they don't fix, I think Amorim, if he doesn't fix the things by the end of this year, I think he'll be dead man walking.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. What score are you going for here then, Carl?
Do you know what? With both of these teams losing the last game, and especially to Man U losing 2-0 to West Ham was a disgrace, and losing to Brentford, I can see this as a draw between these two teams, because I think they know that. I think Man United will try to get a draw at Stamford Bridge, because Chelsea have done well on the final whole game of the season, unbeaten in the final whole game of the season. So I'm going 1-1 at this moment, because I think Man U will try to just get some confidence in before the final on Wednesday night.
Chelsea aren't in the final till the 7th of June, so they've not got an immediate, for them, the season's going to be all over, and the players will be able to sort of have a rest before the final in Europe. We all, like you say, it's very easy. I think when he first left, we all wanted him to fail. I mean, I was saying he'd be out of a job by Christmas, but don't worry, Enzo, you're going to have pantomime available. And he has done better than that. It will be interesting to see if he gets Champions League in his first season. For most clubs, they'd be going, yeah, great, brilliant, carry on next season, take us through. You don't know with Chelsea. I have a feeling they're going to stick with him. I really do. And look, I don't, hindsight's, you look back and, as angry as I was at the time, good luck, Enzo. You took us up, you did what we brought you in for, and we would leave for a better job if, that was us. Brad has gone 3-0 to Chelsea. I think, again, with Man United having that game at the weekend, it's like with Spurs. This is it for Man United. If they don't beat Tottenham, that's their season over. And it might be, like you said, Cole, the end of Amorim. I don't think it should be, because I think he's inherited a shit show. And I've often said with Man United that their problems go a lot deeper than just one season with needing a new manager. It's going to be tight. I'm going to go 1-0 Chelsea. I think it'll be very tight. Now, Wayne, we're 2 games in, and you've not gone for a Desmond yet.
No, I'm just interested. What you're saying about Man United and Tottenham, we've got better form in the last 6 games than both of those. We've got 2 draws and a win. Tottenham have got 1 win and a draw, and Man United have got 2 draws in the last 6. So we're actually on better current form than Man United and Spurs.
Well, you could say we're in European form, couldn't you?
You could say that, yeah, absolutely.
Start the season now. That's what we want. Don't end it now. Start it now.
We're desperate, Carl. We're desperate for any positivity, mate.
We are. That's how bad it's got, Carl.
I know.
You've been there with Leeds over the years, haven't you?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea 3, United 1, says Prashant. Tom's agreed with you, Carl. He's gone 0-0. And Craig has gone 2-1 to Chelsea on that. No games, like I say, on a Saturday. Very quickly, I think it'll be Man City, but I want Palace. 2 words. Wayne, who's going to win the FA Cup final?
I think It will be Palace.
That's your 2 words. Move on. Go on. Sorry.
Palace. I think on the day historically they've always been able to, if they're on it, have a good game. And Eze is a match winner. The forward is brilliant. They have got some good defenders. I think they can get. I think they'll give Man City a close game. Actually,
Who's winning it?
Palace. I think Palace.
Carl?
For me, I would have said Man City, but you know what? I have a feeling that this is Crystal Palace's time. I think the one player that has not been mentioned much is Sarr, who's been underrated for his money, for the value that Palace bought him. He's been a huge difference on Mateta, despite he had the injury in the injury cut his ear. He's been on form, and Palace are always good when late onto the season. They always have a good form. I think they can do it against Man City.
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if Man City ended up with nothing this season?
Yeah, well, it was the downfall, because after when you win 4 Premier Leagues on the trot, there's always a downfall at some point.
Yeah. Everton Southampton. So that's the only match on Sunday. We don't get any points for that. I was just interested to see what everybody thought. But Everton are hosting Southampton, the last ever game at Goodison Park, Wayne. Southampton might not be the worst Premier League team ever, and I wish they had been, or at least been joined, because that would have, as I've said, that would have been the talking point about the relegation battle this year. But with that being getting that extra point, and who thought they would have got that point against Manchester City, for God's sake? Southampton in 20th. They're going to finish the season in 20th, even if they win the last 2 games. They're obviously on the lookout for a new manager. The manager that's there is not permanent. Everton, under Moyes, reborn. It's going to be one hell of an atmosphere, isn't it?
It is. What's quite funny is that new stadium. Did you see there's one seat and it's literally behind a concrete pillar in the new stadium? And you're thinking, take the seat out and don't sell that seat. What is the cost of that season ticket? Yeah, it's just crazy. That's the brilliance of British design, isn't it?
I didn't realise that stadiums still had pillars. I thought we'd gone past that.
There you go. Well, Everton old school, aren't they? Yeah, but Everton definitely. I mean, it was ironic. So when they played Fulham at the weekend, I mean, Fulham should have put the game away. They didn't. They only scored 1 goal, and then Everton came back into them. And interesting, you got 39-year-old Ashley Young. So you got a guy called Young, and he's a 39-year-old player. But I mean, Pickford has had a brilliant season. The defence has been brilliant. They have had Richarlison. They have had a lot of injuries. Everton, Neil, Richarlison, but Southampton have been woeful. But what Ruben Diaz said on the interview on Match of the Day, Man United were like this when we beat them 5-2. When we had Maddison, Tillemans at the Etihad, and they just said, Leicester sat back. They're quite boring. And Ruben said that Southampton didn't want to play. They're wasting time the whole game, sitting around. It's just really disrespectful, because what does a team that spends that much money on the players expect a team that has spent? I know they spent a bit of money, but you're talking different budgets. Like, a lot of the top teams disrespect other teams in the Premier League because they've got like your Palace and everything. If they get to the final, they've done brilliantly well because they don't have the same budgets as the big clubs, and it's just being a Mardy arse basically, Diaz. And maybe the pressure's getting to him, but I just think that's really disrespectful of other teams. You've got to set your stall out. You can't go toe to toe. And if you're promoted like Leeds, I bet if you can get a point against a Liverpool and a Man City and an Arsenal, even at one of the games home and away, you think, that's 3 points that we probably didn't get. So you've got to think that way, and I don't like that attitude. But I think Everton will beat Southampton 2-1.
Oh, 2-1. All right. Carl, can you see Southampton getting anything from this?
Not really. No, listen,
I know you don't want them to because they beat you in the playoff final, but
yeah, I know. Well, and it beat us twice in the league last season as well. So all right, yeah, leave that one to the side. But look, I think what to end it is that good part for the final time for Everton's men's team. It's the good thing that that stadium is going to stay for the women's team. That's going to be moving in. So, and that's huge because a lot of football clubs, when they move away, they're knocking down the stage. But Everton realised that no, it doesn't make no sense. I think the women deserve it, and it's going to be the biggest women's football stadium in the UK. I think what David Moyes has done is really good job of trying to steer Everton where like Pickford's had a good season, Better's coming late towards the end and having a good decent season after Calvert-Lewin's been out injured. Everton's had a lot of injuries, but Moyes has dealt with it quite well, and you got to give him credit for that because it just fit. His return just made so much more complete sense to lead him into the new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock. So that is huge and vital. So I think, Everton's got to use summer because they're going to have to do a huge rebuild. So I think to finish off on the game at Goodison Park, I think it's going to be a momentous occasion and a sad farewell for those fans who've enjoyed it for over 100 years.
And your prediction?
My prediction is I think Southampton will win this. I'm sorry, not Southampton. Where will I go with this one?
I'll have a pint of whatever you're having, please.
Yeah, I know. No, I think Everton will finish with a victory 3-0 at Goodison Park for the final time.
3-0. Well, Brad went 5-0. He thinks it's going to be a goal fest. I'm going to actually agree with you, Carl. I'm going to go 3-0. I was tempted to go 4, so if it's 4 now, I'm going to be kicking myself. But no, I think it'll be 3. I think it'll be a really, really easy game. Everton 3-0, says Craig. 9-0, says Prashant. And Tom has gone 0-0.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Wow, Tom. Wow.
Historically, when teams like Arsenal and Spurs, they always finish on the last when they left their grounds. They always won on the last game of the season at their own ground.
Yes.
Old grounds.
Yes.
I think that trend will still continue.
Yeah. Next up, West Ham United versus Nottingham Forest. And I want to say at this point, and I did put this out on social media, best wishes to, and I'm going to bear with me as I probably absolutely crucify his name, but best wishes to Tewu Awomi, is it, for a speedy recovery. My sister had to be she was in a car accident, had to be put into a forced coma. It's not the nicest thing at all. I think the medical staff, the owner, have to have a look at themselves after that for Forest. Why was he allowed back on? And all this sort of with injury windows or whatever. I don't understand it. But we wish him all the best, whoever he's playing for. He looked in a lot of pain. Going back to the match, West Ham United. I mean, I think possibly we dodged a bullet with Harry Potter not coming to us. He's not weaved his magic there at all. And West Ham fans absolutely can't stand him. And the vast majority want him out. Is he, Wayne, maybe just a one-man club? Did it at Brighton and can't do it anywhere else?
Yeah, as you said a few times, Chris, when we were linked with him, after Maresca left, sometimes you can be out, and he was on the TV, wasn't he? Pundit, and people saying he's putting himself in the shop window. But, if you're out the game, the game moves on. And, he has struggled. In fact, he's got a worse record than
Lopetegui. Yeah,
that's the one. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Wolves get a new manager and they go on a fantastic run. Potter comes in, who a lot of people say, would he end up in the England job eventually? Pray to God, no. But then he's had a woeful season. And to be honest, Bowen's been injured and he has now got 11 goals and he's back on form. And Souček, he's sort of coming back on form because he regularly gets sort of 6 to 8 goals a season. But, against Man United, the one, is that saying anything really? And they're playing Forest, who, blimey, they're in free fall, really. I mean, they even drew against Leicester, didn't they, Chris?
They did. We had 2 goals to celebrate. Yeah.
And they nearly lost against Leicester, actually. We could have got the winner. So,
Yeah.
I'd say pretty. I think Forest, they have got to win this game. So I'd say this is going to be Forest 2, West Ham 1.
2-1. Forest are a little bit in free fall. And look, I've got to have to say, they've got Europe, so congratulations. I think if any team outside the top 6 get Europe, they deserve the other 4 teams' support because they've knocked some of the top big 6 out. So well done for Forest. I did get some pleasure in the fact that if we did nothing else this season, we stopped Forest keeping it in their own hands, and it is out of their hands now for Champions League football. But look, I had them finishing 20th. What do I know about Nottingham Forest? Nuno, I didn't think was a very good manager, but what he's done, they are having a great season. And West Ham were actually in a better position under Loppy Toppy, like we say, than they are under Moyes. Can you see West Ham getting anything from this, Carl?
It's an interesting, especially what you just said about Graham Potter with everything, and I was reading the stuff about what's going on at West Ham. There's been bust ups, being bust ups completely, huge bust ups between the players and also Harry and Potter as well to go out this year. And I know some West Ham fans have not been happy with the football that's been played. It's been a lot worse than under Lopetegui, which is very surprising because I thought Lopetegui was a dead man walking after he when he struggled. And I looked at the stats earlier this week. I thought I couldn't believe he had a better record than Potter is at the moment. But I just think with Forest, after Chris Wood got the injury, I think that's where when the free fall started. And I think to not get the win against you guys on Sunday, I was amazed. You should have won that game, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, because you look more better in the second half than you did in the first half.
We were a Gascoigne's toenail, but it was Christensen's hair that otherwise we would have won. If only Wout Faes had gone up for that goal. Anyway, hang on a second. Here we go. Let me get the hair out. There we go. Look at that. I do feel like I could go to the Ukrainian-Russian border now and hide myself in the undergrowth. £8 that cost me, I'll have you know. So, what do you think it's going to be, Carl?
Listen, I can't see Forest getting the Champions League spot. I think it's gone now in a way because they've lost that momentum. I don't know why I'm having a feeling about this. But I think West Ham will edge just 1-0 because they need to give something back to the fans in a way at the moment, the way things have been this season. So, 1-0 to West Ham.
West Ham have only won 1 in 5, and that was, as we say, against what we do. What we do know is a very, very bad Manchester United side. Look, I think Nottingham Forest, Leicester. I think for once the players came out for Leicester and wanted to give us something because it is our local derby, if you like. They're the nearest club to us. Whether Forest think it is, that's up to them. But it is that. I don't think they'll get Champions League now, but I do think they will get. Well, they've got some of European football. That's been confirmed. But I think they will get something here against West Ham. Brad went 2-1 to Forest. Agreed with you there, Wayne. This is a difficult one to call. I mean, normally you could say, well, if West Ham are at home, but West Ham at home, that stadium doesn't do them any favours at all. It's certainly not a fortress.
Isn't it interesting that you got West Ham, Man United, and Spurs all with massive stadiums? Yet, if one of the promoted teams had been just done a bit better, they would have been in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are massive. I mean, the state West Ham. Some people say it's a rubbish atmosphere to play football in, don't they?
Yeah,
they do. Almost as bad as Bournemouth, but we'll come on to the Cherries later. Hiya, Craig. I'm going to go 2-0 to Nottingham Forest, I think, on that one. as indeed did Craig, like the cut of that man's jib. And Prashant there, he's gone 1-0 to Forest. Right, now this is to me one of the most difficult ones to judge this week. Brentford are hosting Fulham. Both teams started the season really, really well. And look, Fulham are our second game, and I'd got that down as one that we might get something from if we wanted to sort of do well. They absolutely taught us a footballing lesson. Brentford do better. Well, they got an average of 2 goals to Fulham's 1 away. They're at home, obviously. The shots are pretty much the same. Fouls pretty much the same. Possession, it's not exactly. It's a Brexit one there. Brentford are in 8th, Fulham are in 11th. I think both these teams have probably missed out the chance on European football this season. Or can Brentford? I think Brentford are most likely. Can they do it, Wayne?
Yeah, I think Brentford still have a chance of European football. But I mean, Brentford, look at the last 6 games. Drawn, and then they've won. If they'd been a bit more consistent, they would have definitely been going for Champions League. Wissa and Buemo, fantastic winger and forward. They've got a brilliant midfield, Brentford. They've got a really good, solid defence as well.
I bet they're good at suicide chess as well.
They certainly are. But Brentford are going to be way too strong for Fulham, who, Fulham are, they've lost 4 of the last 6 games. So this is a season that Silver will be saying, oh, very close, but no cigar. And I think definitely Brentford, this is going to be a 2-0 to Brentford.
2-0. Okay. Carl, can Fulham get anything?
Well, Fulham still has an outside chance of trying to, become one of the lowest ranked teams if they finish above Brentford. So, and the points is not a huge difference, and especially because Newcastle do get into the Champions League, which is all but confirmed virtually in a way. That team will have the lowest rank to go into the Conference League. So that is huge for someone, to get in. And I think Brentford had a good season. I thought, how were they going to cope with Ivan Toney? But Wissam and Bremo have really been very good goal scorers. They've a good partnership, and it'd be sad if one of them does leave the club, because they're going to be linked by huge clubs. Fulham, I thought they had a chance this season because they was improving a bit more, but the last couple of games have been a little bit inconsistent. The way they lost to Everton was, surprising. They had chances, like what you guys said. They had chances to try to finish the game off, but I think Fulham could still get something. It's a West London derby game. It's derby. One goes out the way with this team when it comes to derbies. This is a huge game because Fulham still can have a lot to say regarding this, to still get into Europe. So, it's not end of the road for them yet, but we'll see on Sunday. But I think at the moment I can see goals in this game. But I think it's going to be a draw between these two teams, a 2-2 draw, because these two teams are really like to go for each other, and I think Brentford needed draw more to try to be ahead of Fulham. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
Well, I don't believe it.
He's gone for the first Desmond of the evening. Carl 2-2, Brentford 2, Fulham 2. Wayne and having agreed with Brad in the 2-1 West Ham Forest game, has also agreed with Brad again. And because Brad's gone 2-0 for this as well.
Wise man.
Wise man indeed. Now, Tom has actually gone West Ham United 2, Brentford 1. Now, I'm not sure when that game's going to take place, or even if it hasn't actually already taken place at some point this season. But I think neither of those teams will want to play each other tomorrow, because that means they'll be playing 2 games at the same time on Sunday, So, not sure, as I've put there, Tom, which game is that? Craig's gone 2-2 as well, and Prashant has also gone 2-2. So we're getting a flurry of of Desmond's there. There must be a technical term, like what do they call these different? You can get Pride of Lions and things like that. There must be a collective name for a collection of Desmonds. I think Brentford are going to do this. I think Fulham will be kicking themselves at the end of the season, and I have actually gone Brentford 2, Fulham 1. I think Brentford will just edge it. Right, next up though, we have got Leicester City, the best team in the Premier League by far, although obviously the table suggests otherwise, playing Ipswich. This has been confirmed as being Jamie Vardy's very last game for Leicester City. Jamie Vardy will not be playing, apparently, according to TalkSport. Jamie Vardy will not be playing in the last game of the season at Bournemouth. Why? I have absolutely no idea. Sunday will be his 500th game for the club. If he gets a goal, it will be his 200th game for the club. A goal for the club, sorry. I can't see if Jamie Vardy finishes that match against Ipswich having not scored. I cannot see how the hell he's going to say I'm not playing against Bournemouth. I put a post out earlier on social media saying this club is totally fucked up. Because I think if they've turned around and says, Jamie, we don't want you playing, and Jamie Vardy's not going to say he doesn't want to play, I just don't know what is going on. I mean, it's not like they're worried about him getting injured because of wherever he's going, but I've just no idea. This club at the moment, it's like the Titanic without the captain. It's just gonna. Oh, I give up. But look, if we can win this, and we can beat. Well, basically, if we beat Ipswich and do better than them on the last day of the season, we will finish in 18th place. That is as much as I can hope for. I would love it if we could finish 17th. We couldn't beat Ipswich earlier in the season. It's at Leicester. It's going to be a completely party atmosphere, which means Ipswich are going to do their damnedest to burst the bubble and beat us. Will they, Wayne?
Yeah, that is very strange about. But what a strange is that PR stunt. That is such a strange thing to announce, isn't it?
Well, Jason Bourne, who actually used to work for Radio Leicester and is now controller at TalkSport 2, big Leicester fan, put it out, and then an hour or so later said, "Yeah, I've had it confirmed to me." I just don't get it.
And Jason Bourne, out of all the reporters that cover Leicester, he's the one that normally knows what's going on. And he asks the real nitty-gritty questions and makes the manager and people squirm, to be honest. So it is surprising if he said it. But yeah, I mean, if we do beat Ipswich, that means in the last 3 games, see, we're clutching at straws, Carl, we'll have won, drawn, and won. I mean, that's a fantastic form, isn't it? That's European form, Chris. I did notice when you said, and now we come to Leicester, the best team in the Premier League, Carl was fighting not to laugh on camera.
I tried, but it was hard. But anyway, I have to concur. Even
I
had my Leeds United hat on when I said that.
I know you did. I know you had your Leeds United hat on there.
But I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting how we've played and some of the results we've got. And the end of the season has got a different vibe. And, at one stage, Ipswich fans have always clapped the players. The players have been clapping at the end. And they've really tried hard. And the Ipswich fans love Ipswich because they gave every game a go. And they did buy youth and they did try and play the youth. And they will be going into the Championship really confident with a lot of young players, played in the Premier League. And I think they're really set for coming straight back up. But this could be a really good end to the season after what's been an absolutely atrocious end.
Ruud van Nistelrooy could keep his job on this form.
Well, the thing is, I was definitely no way, because you've not played the youth. You as you've called him, a Billy bullshitter, Chris. Says the right things, but he doesn't act according to what he says. But I don't know whether it's because he felt responsible to try and stay up this season, and it was too risky to play the young ones, or whereas now he's had a chat with the board and they just said, right, let's play the young ones. But obviously Monger is still at school. He's probably taking exams. He can only train twice a week with the first team. But he is giving, you look at our team after the disastrous season and you look at our team in the championship, and I think we'll have a good season. So it's stick or twist. Do you give Ruud? Has Ruud done enough? Because he definitely wants the job. Has he done enough to keep the position, and will he play the youth? And will the club weed out the older players, basically? And that's the $1 million question, Chris. But yeah, with regards to Ipswich, really like them. I love the way they played. McKenna's a brilliant manager. Will he stay with them if he goes down, or will he get offered Man United job, for instance? So I would say we are going to beat Ipswich, and I think it's going to be a 3-2.
Ooh. And can I just say, if anybody is playing Match Bingo, it was 1 hour, exactly 1 hour, 9 minutes and 13 seconds when Wayne actually mentioned Monger.
I didn't mention him, did I?
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did. You did. Yes. you started talking. He has. We had a thing post match that if we'd got £1 for every time Wayne mentioned what Monger in the post match at the weekend, we could have all gone out for a curry. So there you go. Match bingo, 1 hour and 13 seconds for Monger to be mentioned. There is one other thing that left for Wayne to mention, which he hasn't yet. So if you're waiting for that for your match bingo, you're still waiting. From the outside, Carl, which way do you say? I mean, my worry is that they've said they've got so much going on in celebration of Jamie Vardy. It's his last big game. We're not going to play us allegedly against Bournemouth. It's going to go out with a bang. We're not allowed to put a TIFO out because that will spoil what the club have got planned. You just know Ipswich Town are going to burst our bubble, don't you?
You think that, yeah, because look, like I said, you guys have gone through a lot of shit this season. Yes, so is Ipswich, but at least Ipswich have been in decency of not doing something stupid shit like what your board or your ownership have done, which is good. It surprised me with the news how Jerry Wright is not going to play his last game. He's not going to play one more game left against Bournemouth. His last game is going to be this Sunday. That was baffling when I read it today. It was like, huh? And no, this is not right, and especially what is he going to score in his 500 game and get his 200 goal? That's going to be interesting. The point, because I don't know what's going on at the club or why did they tell I bet Jerry Vardy will say, no, I want to play. I don't care, and I know it's my final home game, but I've never seen players in history say, oh, this is my final game, even though it's at home. You're like, I'm not going to play the next game, the final game of the shirt. You tell me, that is really ridiculous how they come out with that. And I think there's a lot of players the board needs to be ashamed of thinking, well, we want to do it our way. I'm like, no, let him do his way. He's been at the club so long than anyone else. He's the only surviving member of the club the team that won the Premier League. Why do you think he's still there for you guys? He could have gone to Arsenal. He could have gone to any other big club, but he stayed with you guys because he was loyal to you. And this is the loyalty he gets. You saw, your last game of your season is the Sunday against Ipswich. For what? You should finish it on the high. Yes, I know you're playing in the small ground both, but it's still going to be hundreds of millions of people watching to see his his goodbye. So I don't know. It just every time when some communication comes out of your club, mate, guys, I just don't know what I think. I really don't.
Oh, mate, tell me, mate. But can Leicester get the points?
I think they want to, and I think they have to. Look, I think Kieran Craig is a brilliant coach. I think he's going to have a top job. I think for you guys, if we finish above Ipswich, will be good enough for you guys, and I would prefer that way. I do see you guys winning it 2-0, and I think Vardy will score. I think he will score, but I think you guys will win it 2-0. I think that will give you a bit of momentum going into next season. Whoever's going to come in, because it's going to be a huge summer for you guys completely.
Well, Brad nearly agreed with you, Wayne, but he went 3-1. Look, it's hurt me this season that I've actually gone against my team to get points in the prediction league because, to be honest with you, when we were on a losing streak of 15 games, what was the point of predicting we were going to win? We never were.
That's not like you to do that, Chris. It's never been like you to do something like that.
No, I've always stuck by my team and I've always predicted wins for them. I could, if I didn't think they could win, I'd always predict a draw. But I just couldn't this season, and I was getting more. I got more of my points from Leicester losing games than anything. This is a huge game. The pressure. I mean, if coming out and saying he's not playing in Bournemouth, what do you do on the 89th minute if he hasn't scored? I mean, I don't understand this club. Like I said, it's like the Titanic heading for the. I mean, at least when the Titanic headed towards the iceberg, the captain did try and make an attempt to steer it away. We're like the Titanic, like I say, without the captain, and we're just going full steam ahead for that fucking iceberg. And
we're not trying to steer it to save you guys. That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's just going full or pelting down to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh God, yes, that's where we are now. But I think we're going to have a party. Ipswich are going to come and do a party pooper with us. The last 3 games I think we've played have all been draws. I would love to see Jamie Vardy get his goal. I am going to go for Leicester City 2. Ipswich Town 2.
Whoa. Wow.
I just think that it's going to be one of those where the clubs like to burst other clubs' bubble. Do you remember when we did the 9-0 over Southampton? Then when they came to Leicester, we played those goals before the teams came out. And what happened? Southampton went on to beat us 2-0 or 2-1 or something.
Yeah, it was 2-1. Yeah.
Whose idea was it to play all those goals to wind Southampton up, Chris? That's the other thing.
Exactly. And I think Ipswich are going to be sat there. The only motivation McKenna is going to need in that dressing room before kickoff is to say, go out there and burst their fucking balloons. He won't give a shit about Vardy.
No.
Once that whistle goes, he'll have respect for him, etc. Of course he will. But he won't give a shit about him once those things. So that is the only motivation they will need. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the chat. Craig has gone 2-1 to the Foxes. Prashant has agreed with you again, Wayne. 3-2. There's 2 falls out there. Tom has gone 4-1. Really? Come on, we got 2 goals in the game. We're never going to get 4. And Michael, like the cut of that man's jib, he's gone 2-2. Leicester 2, Ipswich 2. Agree with me, of course. Well done, Michael. Right, the next game, last game of the Sunday, Arsenal versus Newcastle. What a shame. Arsenal trophyless again. I mean, I believe that they have started a petition. One of these petitions where it gets so many things in it. You have to have it done or whatever it is. That they want Mikel Arteta to change his name to Mikel Arteta nil, because that's how many trophies he's going to win. I mean, the only trophy he won was in his first season, the FA Cup, and you could argue that wasn't even his squad.
No.
I mean, it's a joke. It is an absolute joke. For most clubs, look, if we'd done what Arsenal have done over the last 4 seasons, we'd be happy. But if you're one of the big 6 not winning anything, and you are now hosting Newcastle, who have shown you how to win it because they've won the League Cup this season, and well done to them. How many of these players from these 2 teams, Wayne, have you got? Well, what was it else you do?
Fancy Premier League.
1 minute, 9 seconds. 1 minute, 9 minutes, 57 seconds for the new fantasy league. I knew I'd get you to say it.
You asked me.
Yeah, and you answered. Oh, yes, I got a full house. We very rarely get to a show, Carl, without Wayne mentioning his fantasy football team. Look, with the season we've had, you take anything, you do. Arsenal, let's be honest with you guys, they're a joke. I mean, they are almost 20 points behind Liverpool. They can be caught. Newcastle in 3rd. I would find it so funny if Arsenal didn't finish 2nd this season. This is the season, Wayne, when they should have bloody won it because Man City have been so awful. And yet they still can't win it. Liverpool have only won it once in 30-odd years. I've snatched it away from them. Arsenal, they're not going to win this, are they? They've only won 1 in 5.
I can't see them. And to be honest, even Villa can catch them mathematically, who are in 6th.
Yeah.
So they are in trouble. No, when you mentioned fancy football, I mean, my brother, he had Saliba and Gabriel in defence in his all season. I had Raya and Gabriel, and they're not in there at the minute because the defence, which was normally rock solid, is poor. They're letting in loads of goals. Saka's been injured a lot. Odegaard was injured. And with Jesus being injured and out, they should have signed a striker in January, and they didn't. And that was a crucial mistake for them. And Newcastle, bang on form. Man City are in form. Chelsea in form. And Villa are in form. And Arteta will definitely be nervous. I mean, to be honest, they beat Real Madrid in the Champions League, and they only just lost to Paris Saint-Germain. But I think they were just concentrating on the Champions League, and they took their eye off the ball with the league. And you can't blame them going for the Champions League, but I think it's cost them with the injuries. And Newcastle is just too good. And Eddie Howe has got to be a future England manager. So I'd say Arsenal to Newcastle 2, actually. Desmond.
Well, for Desmond, whoa! Welcome along, mate. All 3 of us have got a Desmond in there now. All 3 different games. Carl, is this going to be? I mean, Newcastle obviously better. Well, they love playing at home because of the atmosphere there. Can they take anything away from Arsenal?
I think they can. They beat them in the Carabao Cup in the first leg in the semi-final comfortably when Arteta was bloody pissed about the match ball. The match ball was good news, Arteta. That Puma are going to be the new sponsor ball for the Premier League. So you better get used to this shit of bitching about it. So don't play. But I think Newcastle's got Arsenal's number now completely. The way Newcastle's being formed, and Arsenal, I think they've conceded 21 points this season from the home games, and that is dreadful. You can't be good enough. It's just poor, and I think they took the ball off it because they were focused on the Champions League. And you go to get some very good PSG side who look less bling bling, and I don't need Messi and Mbappe strikers where they can find goals. And the point, like you said, they did sign a striker in January, which was critical for that title race when they were still in touching distance of Liverpool, and they fucked it up. And that's why Newcastle have done so well, keeping Isak, who's linked with the move to Arsenal this past couple of months as well. He ain't gonna go nowhere. And Eddie Howe, after whatever been battling hospital with pneumonia, has come, they still got the results without him. And that win against Chelsea was vital because then now they get back to the Champions League again, which I think they're going to be the team to be be hunted now next season if they are going to be public title charges. Because look at what Arsenal is. The Arsenal had a chance to try to win the league. Like he said, they fucked it up because Liverpool they expect to win the title in the first season under Arne Slot. So
Yeah.
what else is there? You know, I think Arteta's got himself to blame hugely.
So, what are you going for?
Well, you know what? I think Newcastle are going to finish do the double on them. They did. They're going to win. They're going to win it 3-1 against Arsenal on Sunday.
Now that's interesting because Brad has gone 2-1, and while you were talking, I actually wrote my score down, and I have gone Arsenal 1, Newcastle 3 as well. Great minds, Carl. Great minds.
Great minds alike. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I like Newcastle. I like Eddie Howe. I mean, I lived down in Bournemouth. I saw everything he did at Bournemouth with all the trouble they were going through and how he took them all the way and kept them up. I love him I think he could be the future England manager.
Yep.
Yeah. And I just think Arsenal, they're becoming a Spurs in red. It's stupid.
What would be embarrassing if Spurs win Europa League next Wednesday, and then look at it's going to be laughable. Who's going to be the Band FC now?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Right, let's have a look. Newcastle 3-1 says Craig. 4-2 to Newcastle Fashion says 6-goal thriller. And Tom says 4-0 to Newcastle, over Arsenal. So everybody thinks there's going to be a lot of goals, including us three here. Monday night, that's it for the Sunday. We go to Monday Night Football, and Brighton and Hove Albion are hosting Liverpool. Brighton and Hove Albion, again, could have probably hoped for a little bit more. But they're still in 9th place, 55. They're possibly just out of the running for Europe, could maybe just sneak in. But they're hosting a Liverpool team. And look, I had Liverpool finishing 4th this season. The main reason for that was that Klopp had left and Slot had taken over. And it was just that new manager coming in. And it wasn't like he was taking over from a winning manager. And I don't get the love that Liverpool had for Klopp. And I know Carl's going to look at me funnily here because obviously his best mate is a Liverpool fan in Doug, who obviously we have on the channel. They had one season when they won absolutely everything. If they'd have entered the egg and spoon race at the Tranmere Carnival, they'd have won it. You know what I mean? Apart from that, pretty average. They weren't, in that, if you compare the number of Premier League titles they won to Chelsea, I don't think Klopp would have lasted as long as he did if he'd been in charge of Man United, Chelsea, Man City, or even Spurs. I don't think he would. He wouldn't have won anything at Spurs, let's be honest with you. So I didn't
Yeah, Spurs, mate.
Yeah. But I not that I don't like him, I love him. I think the guy was value for money. He was always, willing to have a laugh and a joke on the camera. I like him as a manager. I just didn't get the love for him, if you like. But well done to Arne Slot. Well done to Liverpool. I do like Liverpool. I remember Liverpool pre-Fergie at Man United when they were winning everything. And what I used to like about Liverpool is that they would come out and go, if they were beaten, we got beaten by the better team. None of this the referee was wrong or that was out, They just said and that was the gamesmanship that Liverpool exuded at that time. I can't see Brighton getting anything from this. I know Liverpool have won it. They can take the foot off the gas, but I don't think it will, Wayne. I think they're on 83 points now. They can't get to 90, but 89 points would sound good. I think they're going to go for it. They've only lost 3 times this season.
Yeah, I think they will. I think Salah wants to get more goals. I do like. I get why people love Klopp, because with Sane, Salah, and Firmino up front. I mean, to play 3 up front, how Liverpool did with Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold bombing on, they were exciting to watch. And also Klopp, I think even if you support other clubs, Klopp's interviews were really interesting. I think he's a pretty honest guy, comes across as a nice guy. And he sometimes says, yeah, we were crap. We just didn't finish the chances, or to be honest, we probably could have done better, which is a bit different to certain other managers who face a low block because they can't spend the money that they can. So I get that. But Brighton, I think they're a good side. I do wonder how many places English clubs will get in Europe. Will 8th or 9th place get in the Europa Conference League?
I think it's 8 after this particular moment. I think 9th. It varies because what happens if Palace win, because that's the thing. It's 8. So, yeah.
Yeah, so they're still in with a chance, but Liverpool will be too strong. Like to say, how many Liverpool players are on the beach? Interesting, they've been linked with Frimpong, haven't they, from Bayer Leverkusen. So, like Arsenal have signed somebody 50-odd million. There's already people signing players already, isn't there? Any lead signings on the horizon, Carl?
Not yet at this particular moment, but it wouldn't be surprised that once this Premier League is done, that he's been linked with, like I said, the 2 Liverpool players. I think Elliott and Tsimikas are probably the likeliest ones to leave, and it could be a double deal worth £40 million, but there's nothing concrete yet. But I think the one thing might be concrete is the Solomon deal. It's between us and Marseille now to get that battle done. But I think Solomon wants to be at Leeds for the permanently now going forward.
Right, yeah, because mate played football with. He says that the guy in charge of recruitment and signing people, he's a new guy and he wants to get everybody in early. So he wants to get all the deals done early, so they get the pre-season with the squad they pretty much know they've got, and that'll give them the head start coming into the next thing. And he's thinking, that's such a wise thing to do, isn't it, Chris? Sign players early.
But then again, you've got to know what manager's going to be there, don't you?
Exactly. That's our problem. But so I think Liverpool will beat Brighton, but it won't be a rampant victory. I think it's going to be Brighton 1, Liverpool 2.
Carl, is it going to be Liverpool's yet another Liverpool win? Sorry, Carl, I'll ask you. They got Arsenal gave them a guard of honour. Do Brighton give them a guard of honour as well?
I think they will do. Yeah, Brighton will give them a guard of honour. I think that will be confirmed by tomorrow by Ferber. But it's like it's going to happen anyway. So yeah,
right. No, I just didn't know whether it only happened the once or whatever. Sorry, Carl.
Because Chelsea did it, Arsenal do it, and I think Brighton will do it as well. And Palace will do the same on the final day of the season at Anfield. So yeah.
Do apologise. Do carry on, sir.
So yeah, listen. I like Fabian Hertzler. He's a really good manager. You know, what he's done at FC Pauli was amazing. You know, I think they stayed up. I think they stayed up in the Bundesliga this past season as well. So, you know, for what his method has done to bring it into Brighton side, who've been consistent, and especially Danny Welbeck has been scoring goals for fun. You know, and they lost it a little bit a few weeks ago, but they still got a chance to try to get a European spot, regardless of what happens this weekend. As like Liverpool said, Liverpool were 2-0 up against Arsenal by the end of the first half. And then I think when Trent came on and got the boos, it just changed the whole thing when Arsenal equalised. And that surprised me, the way it happened, you know, how Liverpool just let 2 goals slip. And it was really baffling to see that. I disappointed from the minority fans who booed it and you know, the atmosphere. Because, look, you want to finish, you know, you had a chance to beat Arsenal at home. You know, to finish on to get to 90 points, and they blew it. So I think Liverpool, the players are still on hold at the moment, mainly. I think this is just going to be a draw. I think this is going to be a 1-1 draw. I think Brighton will probably be the happiest of the 2 teams if they get a draw against Liverpool at home.
Wow. Okay, so a draw there for Carl. You went for 3 goals, Wade. Guess what? So did Brad.
Did I?
But he went 3-0 to Liverpool.
Really?
I know where you're coming from, Carl, but I just can't see Brighton getting anything from this. I think Liverpool will just want to go out on a high. I don't think Arne Slot would have been happy with the way they let it flip against Arsenal, especially with it being Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool. So those are the weekend games from Friday night through to Monday night. But of course, as we mentioned earlier, there's a small game going on Saturday, which means there's going to be 2 games midweek due to the fact that all the games will be played next Sunday. So the 2 games, the first one of which will be Crystal Palace versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Palace are obviously... Oh, sorry, I don't think I went through people's results there, did I? Sorry. Liverpool 2-1, says Craig. Prashant's gone 0-0. Wow. And Tom has gone 3-0 to Liverpool as well. Sorry, guys, I left that off there. But yeah, look, Palace hopefully will be on a high. I think the way that the cup game goes could decide how this goes. For me, Palace were the only guys who didn't change their manager. You know, when you look at those 6 at the start of the season that were all struggling, Ipswich again also, sorry, of course I should say, Ipswich didn't change the manager. Southampton did, Leicester did, Wolves did, West Ham did. Palace didn't. And wow, look how it's paid dividends for them. They're sat in 12th. What wouldn't we give Wayne? Against the Wolves side who changed their manager, but it worked for them. And they're sat in 14th. They would have taken that earlier in the season. This is going to be a difficult one to gauge, methinks.
It can be, and I think the difference the similarity between Palace and Wolves is that one kept a quality manager and the other one recruited a quality manager. And that's the difference. And that's the thing about Glasner at Palace. I do think Rude did inherit Cooper's really awful signings, mainly going for older players. And he could only buy one player that you have highlighted, Chris, that he still doesn't fancy in Koulibaly. But I do think Rude could well get it right next season. And you are in the Championship, which gives you more chance to try things, and you are against a lower opposition. But on Tuesday, that's going to be funny. So if Palace win, they can have a home game against Wolves. They'll be flying. Great. But if they've lost the final, they will be on a downer. I mean, you're going to be completely, because in the final, if it goes to extra time, you're going to give everything for that final. And I think if you lose, the emotional drain will be massive on Palace after a long season. And Wolves, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Vitor Pereira with a full season can do with Wolves. But I'd say it's such a hard one to call, depending on whether they win or not. But I would say Wolves 2, Palace 0.
Well, I had got a score in my mind, and after listening to you, Wayne, I've completely changed it. I'll come on to that. Carl, are you going to change me back?
Well, let's see what we do. Listen, Oliver Glasner could have been one of the first casualties to be sacked.
Yeah.
But Palace stuck by him because we know he's a good manager. He didn't win the Europa League at Frankfurt for nothing after beating a magnificent a really difficult Rangers side that was going through all the motions up and down that final in Seville. The players that they had injured or coming back, especially with the players at Euros, it took them to get them back, into the match fitness. But since January onwards, when the sign Roman Eze from Millwall, that's probably one of the best goodbyes as well. They know how to buy players at a good time, especially when they needed it. And that has revitalized that front three for Palace. And they needed that completely. It depends how they do the FA Cup, because if they do win it, there will be that momentum on that side. But also that there could be the other side. There could be the downfall if they don't beat Man City. So, and Victor Pereira, he's coming at a good time as well to keep Wolves up, because they were going to be languishing down. I think they were in the bottom three at the time when he came around, and it was, what a terror on that is. Yes, they're going to lose Pereira. That's Cunha. That's going to go to Man United. Sorry, and I just think as well. I think what he's going to be his first full season coming up for Wolves. But I just think at the moment, I think Palace just got the momentum on them, despite what happens this weekend. It will be a close game, but I just think it will be 3-1 win for Palace, to be honest with you.
Wow, you gone for Palace?
Yeah.
Oof. Wow. Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
They expect the unexpected, Chris. That's all I have.
I think whether Palace, unless they get tanked, but they still lose, I think they can say, like, come on, we've let ourselves down here. Let's go and prove it against Wolves. If they get tanked, it's another matter. I was originally going to go for a 1-1, but kind of listening to I've ended up going 1-0 to Wolves, because even if they are up for it, they're going to be knackered, especially if the cup final goes to it doesn't go to replays, does it? But if it goes to extra time and or penalties, they will be physically knackered and mentally knackered as well. The good news is, Wayne, that Brad's agreed with you and has gone 2-0.
It's worrying.
Totally. Palace 2, Wolves 0. So Prashant's agreeing with your outcome, Carl. And Tom has gone very hard to call. Wolves 1, Palace 0. So he's agreed with me, which is a bit worrying as well. Final game, the other, of course, team in the final, Manchester City, in fourth, hosting Bournemouth in 10th. I did the show yesterday, the Talking Balls, and I said to Bournemouth, when I did a show with Paddy a month or so ago, and we talked about the running and where we thought teams might finish. And I said to him, he was very confident that Bournemouth were going to get a European place. And I'm saying now, I think the wheels have come off Bournemouth's wagon. Look, Bournemouth are in 10th place. If they finish top half, for a team like Bournemouth at the moment, who are still in transition, because they're still playing a bloody shed, but they've got a fantastic training ground that's really on a par with ours, apart from the fact he hasn't got a 9-hole golf course. But it is an excellent training facility. If Man City lose this, Pep Guardiola will be ripping into them, because it will still be trying to catch Arsenal up. And I think for me, that's the difference. Wayne, how do you see this one going?
Mardibum City versus Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth will. It's post the final as well, isn't it? So difficult. Yeah, I think Bournemouth will get this one 2-1. Interesting. Bournemouth have Real Madrid have triggered the release clause, haven't they, for Houston, is it?
Yeah, did Houston, yeah.
Yeah, so they're signing for 12 million. They're going to quadruple his money. Interesting reading about it. It says that Bournemouth new president of football operations was signed in 2024. He knew he could get him. He's a really good negotiator. So
yeah,
what a great, I mean, Bournemouth, they haven't quite had the season they wanted, although is it the highest finish they've ever had, Bournemouth?
Probably it's been the highest finish they've had in
Yeah.
their history. So you got because I think Eddie Howe missed out on the top half when he was there under their stewardship.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I do think that they were one of the teams like your Fulhams, your Brightons, and your Brentfords that, especially Brighton, because Brighton said they were going to stop the selling model and they were going to go for try and get in the Champions League. But Bournemouth are on fire at the beginning of the season. They've been a bit iffy, but they're just a great side. Clivert's back. Evan Nielsen is a right nuisance up front. And I think Bournemouth will beat Man City 2-1.
2-1 to Bournemouth. Wow. Carl.
Yeah, well, as I said, Bournemouth have been one of the exciting teams, breaking that top mold with, the top 10 this season, what they've done at this moment, which is surprising how the other two clubs that we spoke about, Man U and Spurs, are just so badly, it could have been relegated, in my opinion. But like I said, Bournemouth are going for another transition. They know how to. They're now becoming Brighton now of selling buying players on a good price, but selling them for a good profit. They've done that with Solanke this past summer, and they do it with Dean Houston as well. Till he's going to Real Madrid, that's another profit in as well. Again, I know Man City have been being the bogey team against Bournemouth recently, and they have been struggling. For them to win in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, Man City, because they had to play without Haaland for most of the game. So pretty much it was quite tough, but Man City scraped through it eventually. So listen, I think Man City know that they could be one of the teams to finish above Arsenal, and they want to try to finish the last game of this home season on a high. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Man City, to be honest with you, because Man City need to finish above Arsenal to make sure that they're still like, well, at least we've won a trophy. Did you win a trophy, Arsenal? No.
I agree with you. Brad's gone for Desmond. He went for a 2-2, but I can see Bournemouth don't finish seasons very well. They lost to Everton, which would have, had they beaten Everton, would have sent them down and kept us up. Thanks, Bournemouth. I am going to go. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Carl. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. Let's have a look what people have said here. 2-1 to Bournemouth, says Prashant, agreeing with you, Craig. And Tom has agreed with Brad, which is a bit worrying. He's gone 2-2. I just want to leave with some stats, obviously, the last game. And thank you very much, guys, for coming on and doing that. I appreciate it. Before we sort of just round things up, do you remember, if I said this name to you, Wayne, tell me what memories it brings back for you. Angus Gunn. If any. Yeah. No?
No.
Carl, does it mean anything to you at all?
Angus Gunn, I know he's the goalkeeper for Norwich City.
He is. He is a goalkeeper, and he was also a goalkeeper for Southampton.
Oh, yes.
When Leicester City put 9 past him. So he was in the same team as Yannick Vestergaard and, of course, Ryan Bertrand, who we went on to buy. Now, I'm not saying that some of these stories are made up, but there's a site out there, and I'm sure it's written with the best interest in heart, TCF Filbert Way, Leicester summer transfer prospects. They put down Doyle, who we've been linked with before, but they've put down Angus Gunn. And I've just gone on and I've put, he was there when we played.
No, Donkey's saying no.
No, yeah, I agree with yeah, no, you cannot have him.
No. I mean, oh my God, what? Jesus fucking Christ. Could you imagine the Leicester fans if we signed, even as a backup keeper? No.
What Carl thought, what did you think of the people we signed at the beginning of the season. Were you aware of the Edouard on loan and Ayew?
Yeah, those some of the signings you made with Edson Edouard, who's not even playing the game most of the game as much as season. I was baffled about that. It didn't make no sense. It really didn't make no sense. I think get El Canusi, that's a very good deal for £21 million. He's a good talent. But some of when he signed Kobali from in January, there was like, what's going on at Leicester with the investment? And I know FFP screwed you guys so badly because you know, and you're going to be screwed again once the EFL licking their wounds when you register back as an EFL club. It's just I thinking, where did that investment go for Leicester for all these years when they could have done that, being as a selling club as well as a buying club, but it took more of the buying club and did not sell at a certain point to try to keep up.
We have let £190 odd million, is it? Walk out the door free.
Yeah.
It's scary. It really, really is. But look, we love our clubs. Yeah, however much they put us through it. I mean, kids leave home and, you can let them go off and do their own thing. You can get rid of your partners and divorce or what have you, but you're stuck with your football club, aren't you? That is the problem. Guys, thank you very much. Wayne, thank you very much for joining us. Can you stay on the line because I want a quick one with you afterwards? Yeah, no. Oh, your lucky day.
Best of luck this season, Carl. Best of luck, mate.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Carl, give everybody a shout out as to where you can be found.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you can find me at the Totally Levy at Home Football Podcast. I know I recently changed my last name last October, but I'm still keeping the channel the same name it is for the time being. But I am on this Saturday on YouTube on my channel, to do the Saturday show. I just finished off doing the championship review just a couple of weeks ago with the special. So yeah, I'm just focused more on the Saturday show, and then after the season's done, I'm taking a break. I'm not going to do nothing in the Club World Cup. Pointless at all. So, but like I said, I enjoy doing my podcast, and I should be on with Doug around about 11:15 on Saturday on the Total Levy on Football Podcast. And you can find me on Carl Levy 92 on X if you want to follow as well.
Go and do that, guys. He's a great guy. And we'll talk next season, even though you're up and we're down. Thank you very much, both. Please go up and as they check out Carl's channels.
I am one away from 90 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the season.
Come on, guys. Let's go and give him the support. Details are there. Look, his name's up there now. Unfortunately, the names disappear when I put comments up. But there you go. LH Football Pod. Get over there and give him your support. He will always wear it. Thanks very much to everybody that's been watching. Appreciate it. Smash those likes if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. And click that notification bell. We will be back at 8 o'clock tomorrow. 8 o'clock tomorrow with the new show, the second in the series, the back pages with Mark Manderfield from It's 11, It's Heaven, Leicester City pod. We'll be looking at all the news rumours. And I'm sure Angus Gunn will come up as well. Thanks very much. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.